Okay, hi everybody. This is Miss Smith here again. I wanted to make sure that we know how to correctly summarize a fictional story and include all the most important parts. So, we're going to use Damon and Pythias, which we read last week, which is also just an amazing story, and I think it would be a good way to reteach summary. So, we're going to look at Damon and Pythias real quick again. I know all of us have already read it and analyzed it. So I just want to make sure that we know all the most important parts of the story, and then we're going to look at the answer choices that are given to you on the Google slide and kind of look through some of them and make sure that it has your answer choices are including all the most important parts of the story in order, because a correct summary is going to be in order from the events that happened in the story. Okay, so you wouldn't summarize a story and start with something that happened in the middle of the story. Okay, so the first thing that I wanted to go over is the Damon and Pythias, the way that it's kind of structured. Okay, so I'm gonna use a little picture on my copy of Damon and Pythias. This is kind of the most important parts of the plot that I'm going to have on here. So I know from looking at my chunks and what we chunked in the beginning of the story, I know that the king is cruel or evil, and we learned that, I'm sorry, I'm going to use this one actually. Okay. The king is cruel and evil, and we know that Damon and Pythias are BFFs. Okay, so that's basically what happens in the beginning of the story, right? In the beginning, king is cruel, right? And Pythias, one of the BFFs, speaks out against one of the new laws the king has made. And this kind of gets him into trouble, right? So the king is cruel, and Pythias speaks out against the king, right? And then as I was looking at the rest of my chunks, okay, so I'm turning the page, talks about how the soldier brings Pythias to the king, and right here is a really important chunk because I highlighted and I wrote, this is where the main conflict happens. Pythias is sentenced to death by the king. So now we have a huge problem in our story. So that would be another really important part of our story that I need to write. Pythias is sentenced to death. Okay. So we're kind of right here in our plot, right? We have, we kind of have our exposition. Now we're in our plot. So now we're in the conflict. So now we're starting to go into the rising action of the story. So Pythias is sentenced to death, but he needs to see his family before he actually gets put to death, because he wants to make sure they're taken care of before he's put to death. And so his best friend Damon offers to take his place in jail. And I have that right here. Damon takes Pythias's place in jail. So that would be another important part of our plot, and something that would have to go in the summary, right? Damon takes Pythias's place in jail. Okay. So as we were reading, we talked about this, that we should be asking ourselves a driving question related to the to our conflict that Damon is taking Pythias's place in jail. So you should be asking yourself, will Pythias come back in time? Will Pythias make it back in time? So when we get the answer to that, we've reached the turning point. So I know the king obviously doubts that Pythias is going to come back in time because the king has no friends. And Pythias is doing his best to come back. However, we have an important part as well of our plot where he gets tied up and robbed. I don't know if this is something we need to include in a summary. We could just say maybe that he encounters a lot of problems trying to get back. But we know he gets robbed, and that kind of hinders him or stops him from coming back until the very end, which we know our turning point right here is that Pythius does return in time, right before Damon is going to be executed. And the crowd is cheering for them to be set free, and the king actually has a huge change of heart and feels bad and has never seen such great friendship before, so he sets them free. And we kind of learn at the end that true friendship is more powerful than anything. So that's a recap of Damon and Pythias. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at our answer choices that we have on this slide, and we're going to make sure that some of them, because these are summaries, right? So we're making sure that our summaries are in order and have all of those most important parts. So let's look at A. Again, the question is, which of the following is the best summary for the story Damon and Pythias? A says the cruel king sentences Pythias to death for speaking against him. Okay, that does happen. However, Pythias must return to his family, so the king allows him 2 weeks' time to return back and be executed. Okay, that's not even true, okay? The king doesn't just let Pythias go to his family. So we're missing a major part of the story in here in this summary. Also, giving specific 2 weeks time, that's kind of an unimportant detail. So already I could tell that this answer, y'all, is wrong. I would mark it out, okay? Or just again, don't pick it, because A is totally wrong. It's not even accurate. Okay, so we don't even need to read the rest of the summary because we know the king doesn't just let Pythias go back to his family. The way that Pythias goes back to his family is that Damon takes his place. So A is wrong. Let's look at B. Damon takes Pythias' place in jail after learning that Pythias must return to his family. Pythias is robbed but returns in time to save Damon's life. Okay, this summary, what's wrong with it is it doesn't have any important details, or it has some but not all of them, right? First of all, it doesn't start with why Pythias is even in jail, right? And it doesn't really even include the resolution, the end of the story where the king sets them free. So I would say that B you can eliminate as well, okay? So you're left with C, answer choice C right here, and answer choice D. So on your own now, I want you to read your summaries for your option for C and read your summary for option for D and see which one of those actually includes all of the most important parts of the plot in order, okay? Good luck, y'all. Also, sorry, just so you know, to highlight your answer, whatever answer choice you pick, you highlight it like this using your cursor. You hold down your cursor and drag it over what you want to highlight. Then you go here to the highlight color, and you can choose any color, but I just always do yellow just because yellow is pretty clear. It shows up. So that's how you highlight. And if you want to change your answer, all you do is go back to the highlight color and then press transparent, and it will unhighlight it if you don't want to choose whatever answer you highlighted. Okay? That's how you do that. Good luck, y'all.